In the last week, or more actually, a controversy has engulfed the entire country. In the aviation sector, to be particular, 2 cars were allegedly bought for the minister, 2 BMW bulletproof cars, totaling 225 million naira. And a lot of hoopla has come up after that. People have protested, people have written articles, people have made comments. The president has set up a probe panel, as we hear, to look into the matter and see how all of that can be resolved. But also in the last week, we heard about protests happening at the Federal Secretariat in Abuja, one pro and one anti the minister. And one of the leader, actually, of the anti-protesters was eventually arrested but released later. And we have him here in the house. He's Otumba Dino Melaye, Executive Secretary, Anti-Corruption Network.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for being here today.
Yeah, good afternoon, viewers.
Yeah. I just set up a bit of a preamble there to, I'm sure a lot of Nigerians know what the problem is anyway. But what exactly is your grouse in all of this?
Basically, I have no personal grouse. I have no personal issues. We're just concerned about the future of our grandchildren that we may never know. We're concerned about the future of the next generation. We're concerned about our country, like we have no any other country to call ours apart from this country, Nigeria. And as a taxpayer in this country, we should be concerned about how we've been governed. Because every Nigerian, we've gotten to that situation where every Nigerian must decide either to walk in the light of creative altruism or we perish in the darkness of destructive selfishness. The time for silence, the time is gone when silence is no longer golden. Back to the issue of the bulletproof vehicles. We are particularly concerned because we are one of those particularly who broke the lead to this whole exercise. So when they were talking about a whistleblower in the ministry and they want to intimidate and harass, that was why I came out and I challenged the ministry to give us the name of that civil servant they said exposed that whole thing, because they have nobody. There's nobody to call. I challenge them to tell us the name of the character they're accusing or the civil service number of that person. We broke that lead. And first, public funds. We have laws in this country governing procurement and the spending of public funds. To start with, the said amount of money, after due investigation, we discovered was not budgeted for. It's not in the budget of 2013. I was a member of the National Assembly, and I understand budget and subheads. I can say categorically that that money was not budgeted for, to start with. Secondly, there is something called the monetization policy of government. The monetization policy does not exempt the ministers. In fact, that's why all the ministerial houses were sold. That's why all the ministers now don't have uniform vehicles. You can only buy what you can afford because of the monetization policy. Those exempted from the monetization policy of the federal government, they are the president, the vice president, the senate president, the deputy senate president, their deputies, the IG, police and service chiefs. So it's even against the law for you to provide vehicle for any minister.
One thing I need to understand, which has happened, which I've tried to understand in all of this, is why is the anger at the minister and not the NCAA?
To start with, the minister is the approving authority of the Ministry of Aviation. The NCAA is just a parastatal under the Ministry of Aviation. So the minister is the superintendent and oversight officer over all the MDAs. That's parastatals, agencies, and departments of government under the Ministry of Aviation.
But does she authorize payments and disposal of funds in every single parastatal?
The acting DG...
Especially since we've heard, I mean, there was a press release at the time at the fact that the cars were not bought for the minister.
The acting DG who authorized that payment, who supervised the whole transaction, came to the House of Representatives last week, specifically on Thursday, and told them that the approval was granted by the Minister of Aviation. So what we're saying here is very simple, is that there is a convention in this country that once you are a public officer, either you are indicted or not, once there is an evidence of corruption against you, more importantly, when a spokesperson and the DG of NACA came out to accept the purchase of this vehicle.
But the minister still, we still don't have any proof that the minister was the one who authorized this. That is what I'm saying.
I just educated, and I just informed you now that the minister is the approving authority for the Ministry of Aviation and all the parastatals and departments of government under it. He who wears the crown bears the broad. So, more importantly, I told you that the man who was in charge of the transaction at the time appeared before the House of Reps 3 days ago and told them that the minister gave the approval for the purchase of the vehicles. So apart from that, the spokesperson of the minister came out to accept that those vehicles were purchased. The DG NCAA came out and accepted that those vehicles were purchased. And there is precedence in this country.
But this same DG has been quoted as saying that the minister had no idea about these things being bought. She didn't approve.
No. That is not true.
It's been all over the news.
What we have on record is that he said he was not the DG at the time of the purchase. He said that categorically. Initially, he came out to defend that position, saying there were vehicles bought for the minister and visiting officials of the aviation industry. That, I believe, he must have said that in error, because that is not the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The ICAO have their office here in Nigeria, so they will cater for whoever is visiting. It is not the responsibility of the Ministry of Aviation to make sure that aviation officials coming for inspection or whatever are carried in bulletproof cars. Apart from that, we had Koja in 2003, where the heads of governments of the Commonwealth, 54 in number, visited this country. They were carried with a BMW, not bulletproof. We had the ECOWAS meeting of head of states and head of governments. We had the AU in this country. All these people were carried with 607